what we want to do is then come into content theft data, and this will tell you what the last 3 triggers were for the theft deterrent. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to HR Repair. This is Hey Ray. Today we have an interesting problem. Now, I will tell you right up front that I have figured out what the issue is, but I'm going to kind of walk you through what we did. I originally didn't think it would be a very easy problem to figure out, and I wanted to see what was going on before I dive into this thing on camera. And so we did figure out the problem, and I want to explain that to you, so stay tuned for that. But the problem the customer was having is randomly this thing would say theft detected, and if it was armed, such as the car was locked in the middle of the night, he would suddenly wake up to his car sitting in the driveway honking. So stay tuned and we'll get this thing figured out, and hopefully it will help you if you've got a problem with this as well. So stay tuned. Contact. All right, so like I said, this customer brought this thing to me. He's had it to the dealership twice. The first time, I don't remember for sure what all they did to this thing, but he did say that he spent a little over $600 with the dealership. They were unable to fix it. So he was to the point of not even sure if this thing's going to be able to be fixed. I don't remember for sure what the first time, like I said, the first time he took it in to the dealer, I don't remember what they said was wrong with it. They tried that didn't fix it, so they came back and took it back. They went ahead and did something in the door. They claimed that there's something unhooked in the door. They just hooked it up and that should take care of it. Did not take care of the problem. The customer's beyond frustrated with it, so he brought it over here, wondered if I could figure it out. Now, like I said, pretty sure I have figured out what's wrong with it, but I'll take you through the diagnostic steps and we'll show you what we found. So, educating myself on this system allowed me to come in here, and we'll come into the BCM. First of all, what we did is we did a system scan. In the code scan, we found that the BCM has a code with B3006, which is a hood ajar or hood switch malfunction. So it can either be shorted to power or shorted to ground, and it actually had both of those. So I'll just show you, display the codes. So we have a B3006 in here twice. So we have a hood ajar switch, hood ajar circuit short to battery, and hood ajar circuit open circuit. Current DTC since power up, current DTC since power up. So these two are switching back and forth, power ground. The hood switch is a basic switch. It's very, very simple. There's not a whole lot to it. So what we want to do then is, the other thing with knowing how this system works, there's 3 things the car looks for to set off the alarm. If it sees that, any of those 3 things, it'll set off the alarm. And then if it needs to, it will also set off a siren. So those 3 things are either the door, this may have been a problem. If there was a door ajar switch that was malfunctioning, this thing may have had several different problems. So I'm not going to completely throw the dealer under the bus. So I don't know, what all they did, and I don't know what they found. So I'm not going to throw them under the bus, because it could be either the door ajar switch, the hood ajar switch, or the trunk ajar switch. Any 3 of those, it sees a malfunction there or sees anything in that it does not like, that will set off the anti-theft. So what we want to do is then come into content theft data, and this will tell you what the last 3 triggers were for the theft deterrent. And as we can see, the last 3 were all the hood, all 3 of them. So that means that it's seen a problem in the hood switch. You know, either the hood got opened or, you know, whatever it thought it's seen there, that's what triggered it. So now we know that our last three were the hood. Now if we'd see something different, you know, say the first one was the hood, second one was the door, third one was the trunk, we'd be in trouble. But since we see all three of them are hood, we're going to assume that there's a problem. Couple that with the fact that we have a code for the hood switch in the body control module, gives us another clue. So what we want to look here is hood position. Now I do have everything powered up, so this is live data, and it should change when we open the hood. So we're going to pop the hood. I don't have it armed, obviously, because we got it powered up. So we've got the hood ajar, and it should have set it off. That should have set it off, even with just popping the hood. So hood position, still closed. Not true, okay? So let's close it again. We'll open it again. We'll go ahead and show you guys as I pop the hood. Pop the hood, nothing changes. So we don't, something's not registering that we have an open and closed hood. So now we want to look and see if our hood position is bad. Now this is just basically a real simple switch down in here, and it's in underneath here all the way here at the bottom, and when this latch triggers back and forth, the switch will either open or close. Now we have basically a power and a ground coming up here to our hood switch. So what I want to do, yep, look at our, it's sitting there jumping back and forth. That's the first time it's done that. A while ago I had it completely unhooked and nothing changed, so I wonder. Yeah, we can make that thing. I don't even have it unplugged. So it makes me wonder if we have an issue with our wiring, which I don't see. I'm not doing anything to it, and it's sitting there opening and closing. So if we had this thing armed, that thing would be going off right now. Okay, what I will tell you is that I have tested the, if I can get it unplugged here, I've tested the power and ground up to here. I do have a good power and ground. Now you can't load test this circuit because this switch will need to either open or close that circuit, so it's not really a load carrying circuit. So essentially what we have is we tested to make sure we have power to the middle wire here, or the one on the left, which is I believe a green, and let me get the wiring diagram, brown and green. So we have a brown and green wire, that one should have power. Then we also have a black wire, which should be ground. And I did test that. We do have power to the brown and green, and black wire has ground. So essentially, long story short, we have a bad hood switch, because with this thing unplugged, it's going to say the hood is closed. Now if we plug it back in, it hasn't malfunctioned since we unplugged it. And now it's not working again. So my guess is that switch is internally shorted or open. I believe it's actually open and then it shorts out. So we have a problem with our hood switch. Okay, so we're back on this car. I do not have the hood latch yet, but I did call the customer, told him what's going on with it, and he said, well, they replaced the hood latch module. So my thought process was that maybe there was a misunderstanding, and they called the hood latch, and he thought it was a module. But he did show me his invoice from the dealership, and I'm not going to show anything on the dealership and who the customer is. However, we did figure out that they changed the body control module. So what I am looking at here, because I kind of wondered, what caused them to go to the body control module. So what we're seeing here is they tested for an alarm to go off with key fob battery out to verify this is not a key fob issue. Okay, that's good. That's the right way to do it. The key fob is not the cause. They determined by testing, found the code set in the vehicle B3006 for hood ajar circuit fault open. Tested the hood ajar switch circuit back to the BCM. The signal circuit is not showing enough voltage, only 11.2, while it needs a minimum of 11.5, have 12 volts at the battery. Tested for acceptable resistance in the circuit end to end, as well as for a short to ground. Determined the BCM itself has failed and is not sending enough voltage to the signal circuit. They completed the replacement and all is okay. Now, I disagree with this just a little bit, and the reason I do is because if you leave the car setting for a little bit, I did test it as well, and it had voltage at 11.2 volts coming out as well. But as soon as I put a battery charger on it, now I get my minimum of 11.5. I actually had 12 volts. So I went in to GM's circuit description and what they say, and they do say 11.5 volts. According to our scan tool, we had the symptom 01 and 04. Snap-on, I'm just looking at my phone here, Snap-on will read that differently. So it's basically the SPN, and then this is the FMI. So we have 01 and 04. So the body control module detects that the hood ajar switch is open and shorted to battery. So either an open or shorted to battery. Now, I think that part of our issue is that this repair system, circuit system testing is a little bit, I don't really like it. It says test for greater than 11.5 volts between the signal circuit terminal B and ground. When I would test, and I'm just going to show you guys how I tested it. If it's of 11.5 volts or less, then it goes to ignition off, test the harness connector at the body control module, and then test for infinite resistance between the signal circuit and ground. If infinite resistance, which is no resistance, test for less than 2 ohms in the signal circuit end to end. If it's 2 ohms or greater, repair the open or high resistance in the circuit. If it's less than 2 ohms, then replace the body control module. So this is really in my opinion, is GM kind of taking them in the wrong direction. So I don't really like it. I think this is, I don't know. But I believe if you come in here, we're just going to go ahead and retest this circuit, and I'll show you guys what we're getting out to there. So let me get you set up. All right, so I'm going to test with this ground here, and we're going to see what we have here. So again, we should test for voltage coming up on this second pin, or the center pin here. So let's just test that, see if I can do this with one hand here. Right there, 11.55. Okay, now if we go and we test from these two is where we'll get the 11.2. Now, it's a little misleading because according to the circuit testing procedure, it's saying test it between a good ground and the signal wire. So, well, I know we still have 11.57. So, you know, we had 11.55 volts. Now, one of the things that they could have possibly have done is there is a possibility that this car was tested with the ignition on. The ignition being on is when I had 11.2 volts up here. I believe if you look at the circuit testing procedure, you disconnect everything because they want to take for 2 minutes for all the vehicle systems to power down. Ignition off and all the vehicle systems off. That's correct. Okay, so here's what I would like to say, and this caught me off guard as well, is that when you do that testing, make sure that you do everything the way they said. So here's what's happening. By this, the body control module is always sending voltage up to here. It's always monitoring this hood switch, because as long as the car is sitting there and all the modules shut down, the body control module is still communicating, especially if the thing is armed. If the car is armed, this thing is still sending out voltage on this circuit because it's monitoring your doors. And again, like we said, doors, hood latch, and the trunk latch. So if they had the ignition on, like I did earlier, and you know, I mean, that could have been a problem for me as well, because I was testing it with the ignition on as well. It needs to be tested with all of the systems off, and it may take 2 minutes, according to everything shuts down. So we have what I'm trying to say is we have our 11.5 volts. We have 11.55 actually. So I still believe we have a bad hood switch. But I'm just saying that it seems like either our battery, I mean, we could also have a weak battery, but what I think we have is a hood switch that continues to short out. So short out or open, and because I seen it earlier, and you guys seen it too, where it would move, and as soon as I unplug it, we don't have that issue anymore. So enough rambling, and I don't necessarily really fault the dealer a lot for this. I would caution against dumping a body control module into something as soon as they did, because usually, not always, but usually modules are pretty resilient. So anyway, I hope this helps you guys, and we're going to put the new hood latch on it. We'll test the system, make sure it works, and then we'll send it back. Okay, we've got our new latch in. For this car, check yours with the VIN, 84160734. Comes from GM, genuine OE, original equipment. So what we're going to do before we do that is I just want to verify by testing with the new one that the old one does test faulty. So we're going to pull a new one out of the bag here, and we can see that it has the same amount of wires. Everything's good. So let's go ahead, put my meter on ohms resistance values. 0.731 k ohm of resistance. That is in the open position. Now, what do we have on the other one? So they should be the same. Ta-da! 4.26. All right, big enough difference for me to say it's going to be the hood latch. So let's go ahead and loosen that. We'll get this popped off of here, and then we'll commence to taking these off as well. 10 mil. tuck my shirt inside my pants before I get back in front of the camera. 10 mil. Come on. Take both of these out of here. It is already marked. I don't know, did somebody else replace this thing one time before or not? Okay, now please come out of there. Don't make me. Okay, there we go. Pull the radiator forward just a little bit and it pops right out of there. So now we want to, can you guys see there? Hopefully. Now, what we need to do, we need to squeeze. Pull this thing out of here. Just feeds right out of there. Just like that. Now, that. Simple enough. And the new one goes in reverse order. Click, torque to specs. One wrist click will do. Alright. Feed this thing in underneath here. Over to the other side. And then it plugs in right here. Lock. And click. Then we will install this right here. And this comes over here. Now, technically, it should register that our hood is open. And I just knocked my screwdriver down to the nether regions below. That's why I carry a magnet. Let's see what we get. See if we have a hood ajar. Remote left in vehicle. Hood open. Look at there. Bada bing, bada bong. All right, so let's go ahead and close the hood. We'll close it gently. It went right in and everything's locked into place. Now, okay. Now, let's pop the hood, see if it comes up. It does. Look at there. It's that simple. I hope that this was helpful for you guys and you guys learned something. But let's go ahead and get the scan tool and we'll clear our codes. We should now see that those codes have went into history. So let's turn this on, fire it up. I'll bring you guys back when I'm into the BCM again. Okay, so we're here. So hood ajar, circuit short to battery. Test failed since DTC clear, which they cleared it when they put the new BCM in, so I'm okay with that. But all of these are now in history DTC. That is what we want to see. He still does have a right park lamp control circuit short to battery, right park lamp control circuit open circuit, so one of his park lamps, possibly just the lamp is bad, or it may be a problem, but we were not asked to fix that. I will say something to him just in case he wants me to, we can, but we were just asked to fix the intermittent horn honking and security going off, so this will fix it. I feel very confident that it will. So let's clear the codes. Codes cleared successfully. Go back in. Yep, so we just have the 3867 coming back. Now, well, we know I was going to go back in and see if it shows in here, but we know it will because content theft data. Even if, yeah, so now I guess that did clear. So with me clearing the codes, that went ahead and cleared the content theft deterrent trigger history 1, 2, and 3. So I would expect that not to come back. hood position is closed, we know that if we pop the hood, it will say open. But let's just go ahead and do it. Pop the hood, and it immediately went to open. So we are working as designed. Hopefully this was helpful for you guys, and if it was helpful for you, let me know that down below in the comments section. I appreciate everyone's feedback. Your feedback helped me make better videos. So thanks for watching. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Y'all have a wonderful day. Until the next time, I will catch y'all later. Please like, share, and subscribe. Bye.